I'm Kerry Blaser, Mary Magdalene's soul. I'm here today to talk about what to expect in the second coming and what that really means and how I'm helping everyone. Okay, so I've been doing a lot of research on early Christianity and why we went from a worldview where there was balance between divine masculine and divine feminine in Israel 2,000 years ago when Jesus was born and Mary was born, and they had the worldview that there's gnosis, inner knowing, and Sophia, inner wisdom. Knowing is masculine, wisdom is feminine. And we can see this in other cultures as well. Like in America, we often talk about universal truths. Universal truths are divided between universal knowledge and universal wisdom. Same concepts like they have it in India, Shakti and Shiva, divine masculine and divine feminine. So different cultures, in the physical world represent divine masculine and divine feminine in different forms. And spiritually, they're shown those forms because that's what those people understand, right? So like if you show someone from India Jesus, they might not understand what their next step is. But if you show them Shakti, I think it is, or Shiva, I can't remember which one, then they're going to understand, oh, that's divine masculine protector energy. I need to be careful. So in the 2nd century, with a strong imperial move in Europe, there were decisions to start, promoting a masculine god that controls everything, and then there's a suppression of the feminine. So, and all of my enlightenment experiences last year, and then this year too, have been all around balance between masculine and feminine. So, the second coming is to bring that wisdom, to bring balance back to men and women, masculine and feminine. I mean, there's a reason women are intuitive. And white men, patriarchy. Well, what are they talking about? They're talking about what happened in the 2nd century, that started in the 2nd century, and that was codified in the 4th at the Council of Nicaea, where they only adopted 4 of the 21 Gospels. And then the 6th century, Mary was called I was called a prostitute. Are you kidding me? If you study early Jesus' true teachings, there's no need for church because divinity is in the soul. I have access to my soul, so I have access to the divine because my soul is divine. Like every other person's soul is divine. There's no church necessary. Other part of the second coming, that there's no church necessary to access the divine inside your soul, and no one is coming to save you. Why? This is how it works. So I'm going to start giving some examples about how we internalize healing. Okay? So if I line up 10 people and I call them all stupid, they're all stupid. Each one will take it a different way. Some will get hurt, some won't, some will be happy, some will be sad. Why? Because the way their soul responds to energy is different based on their wounds and their wisdom. If I call 10 people beautiful, some will, oh yeah. Some will be like, stop it. Some can accept the compliment and some can't. That has nothing to do with my soul. That is the constitution of their soul. And so a lot of people say, oh, Jesus forgives me. Well, okay. But if you haven't forgiven yourself, if you haven't done the work to transform that wound into wisdom, then it doesn't matter what another soul does because you haven't done it. The only person in charge and control of your soul is you. Each person is individually responsible. We're grown-ass adults. We need to take responsibility for ourselves and reparent ourselves from the problems that we inherited from our parents because they didn't have the tools to heal. That's what I'm saying. No one is coming to save you. And how many times have we heard that? And then it turns out that each person needed that challenge to grow. We are souls having a human experience. No, heaven is not going to arrive on earth. Heaven is a frequency in our hearts. We are souls as a collective inhabiting Earth, coming back lifetime after lifetime after lifetime as a family working on our challenges. You know, our current challenge is imbalancing men and women. Women have stopped having kids. We're 20 years from population collapse. That's how much they hate their femininity. That's how much they've internalized the suppression of Sophia, the suppression of Mary Magdalene, the divine feminine. And so we're done. And this is how it works. That's communication. I don't have kids. I don't have kids here. It's too dangerous. You had kids during the Crusades. It's dangerous then. But we're done. We're done. So that's really what I'm here to say. That is the second coming, is balance between men and women, divine feminine, divine masculine, change our worldview so that God really reflects reality. We are made in the image of God. Reality is dual in nature. So how is God not also dual in nature? It's not logical. Creation is feminine. Orchestration is masculine. So when you have a God that takes responsibility for creation, then you have a story like Adam and Eve, that a woman was born from a man's rib. Well, that's not reality. That's not how it works. That's a wound. It's inverted wisdom. When people act from their wounds, they act from inverted wisdom. So imperialism was coming. People want to control. And so, okay, men are in control. Women, shut up. And how much do we see that in the killing of witches and healers and suppression of societies and, shamans, they're bad, they're evil, and high priestesses like I was 2,000 years ago with Jesus. And it's very difficult. Today I'm going to go to a church and ask for support as myself, as Mary Magdalene's soul, because I don't have any other support. None of the men in my book are talking to me or will help me. So, this is what I'm doing. And maybe this is what I see is, why isn't Jason talking to me? JC, as I said in other videos, is the head of global security at GoDaddy, Jason Colvin. And so one perspective, I haven't talked to him, so I'm not speaking for him. I'm just kind of throwing some ideas out there about what's going on. So if divine feminine was repressed, so here's the collective of souls, and divine feminine is like, oh, fuck you, you're down here. And then divine masculine went up here above souls. The balance is for him to fall and me to rise, so that we all accept that divine masculine and divine feminine is where we are of the souls. We are not above the souls. We are models and guides for how to awaken your soul, how to experience enlightenment, but we can't make you do it. We are not the access point. Your soul and your heart is the access point to your own divinity, to your own emancipation, to your own ascension, to your own enlightenment. So, I don't need the church to access the divinity inside my soul, and neither does anybody else. Now, sure, the church does a lot of great things, and the church can be very helpful, of course, but the church can also be destructive. We are a school here learning our lessons about what it means to be a soul having a human experience. Punishment is not necessary. We just, we need to learn our lessons. So a punishing God, you're a sinner. No, we're wounded souls. And that's the point. The whole point is to come here and make our darkness conscious, like Carl Jung said. One does not become enlightened by imagining beings of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And that's what Jesus was doing in the temple, and that's what got him crucified. And thousands of people were crucified because if you don't pay all the money to the temple for all your trade and everything else and take scraps away home, then that's what happens. That's a punishing God. That is not who we are. Love always wins because we're energy bodies, we're souls. And love is a higher vibrating energy, so it's more powerful and transformative than shame, guilt, and fear. So long run, love wins. Enlightenment is the highest vibrating emotion at 700 to 1,000 hertz, with shame being 20 hertz. So high vibrating, it's gnarly, and to be able to prepare your body to vibrate that high and not have a heart attack is lifetimes of work. And it's not the same body. It's got to upgrade. All of our bodies are continuously being upgraded so that we can have, what they call a new earth, where we have healthy nuclear families. Women can stay at home and raise kids, and that's celebrated. We wonder why women don't want to stay home. Well, how are women treated? Oh, you're just a stay-at-home mom? Well, what do you fucking expect when you tell women that men are responsible for creation when that's their value? When you take away women's value, why do you expect them to value themselves and value their femininity? I mean, it got so bad we created feminism, which is the biggest hate on femininity that I ever freaking saw. And then I really connect to Charlie Kirk. I was born in Scottsdale, Arizona, where his family lives. GoDaddy is in Phoenix, Arizona. Arizona is a hub with Sedona and all those vortices for spiritual work. So yeah, I was born there. Okay. And so Charlie Kirk, on July 16th, 2025, Charlie Kirk said, Mary is a solution to toxic feminism. And in my book, I go off on feminism and how current society didn't support my need to be feminine and to stay home with my kids and support the family. And I went off on all that in my book with lots of scientific data, a huge bibliography in my memoir. I'm a scholar. I have a master's degree in East Asian religious studies, so I do it up on research because I love it. And it helps me explain to everybody. So that happened. And then 2 weeks ago, I was like, that's around the time I sent an email, my first email to Red Pill Leadership. And why Red Pill Leadership? In my book, you see that I helped Justin Waller and Andrew Tate, part of how I know who I am. So I sent them an email saying all the signs and synchronicities that my soul is the same soul as Mary Magdalene. So I put out that energy that day, and that's what came out of Charlie's mouth. Totally shocked everybody because he's an evangelical. Now, he was talking about Mary, Jesus' mother, but it's a step in the right direction. Let's talk about the women in early Christianity. What were they doing and saying? Mary's text, the Gospel of Mary, was suppressed, of course. Jesus was killed. Then, then masculine God. Well, who's going to celebrate Mary Magdalene's story? And the people that did, the Cathars in southern France, because she went to southern France, 1 million of them were killed in the 13th, 14th century during the Inquisition because the Shroud of Turin they looked for it in Toulouse, France. Well, I lived in Toulouse, France when I was 1 to 3. This came from there. That's my mom's. Okay? So, please, love yourselves. Self-love creates heaven on earth. That's the second coming. That message is out there. There's so much awareness now about how our souls having a human experience and how our bodies reflect the wounds and wisdom in our soul and how our DNA, there's just so much out there. Embrace it, okay? And embrace the fact that you are capable of this on your own. You can do the work by yourself, figure it out, heal yourself, and experience an enlightenment all on your own. Isn't that incredible? Instead of going, oh, he's coming. Oh, wait, he's coming to save us. He's coming. Oh, you're going to wait fucking ever. You can wait, or you can start, or you can help out. Because over-relying on Jesus' soul, I mean, how much work do you expect one soul to do? Seriously. Why can't we each take individual responsibility for our wounds, change them to wisdom, and use divine masculine and divine feminine as role models for how to do it yourselves? We're all grown-ass adults. That's what I'm saying. That model of just, okay, just wait. You're like a child waiting for your parent to act. No, that's not how it works. Love yourself. Experience the divinity inside your own soul through a personal and direct experience with the universe. Okay? I promise you it's good. And I'm here every day. I'm in and out of enlightenment all the time, helping all souls, pushing out as much support for this process as possible because I know how difficult it is because I'm still going through it. So we're all in it together. We're a family of souls figuring out our crap. That's all that's happening here. And we got a lot of crap. So let's figure it out because we're extremely capable. We are the get shit done crew. Okay? So we're getting shit done. We're bringing in self-healing. It's the time. And oh, one more point. A lot of people question about, the Mayan calendar ending in 2012. It didn't end. It was a time cycle. The next time cycle that started, self-healing. Age of Aquarius, self-healing. It is the time now for self-healing. 2,000 years ago, it wasn't. But that's the second coming, the time for self-healing. Take care.